greet the new Viceroy come the Indian leaders. Pandit Nehru, Oxford-educated leader of the Congress Party, second only to Gandhi. With Nehru, Muslim Abdul Azad, head of the influential Congress Party.
There's a woman of whom you've probably all read, but never seen in a picture. Miss Madeline Slade, the English daughter of an admiral, who now prefers to be known as Malara Ben.
India, a land steeped in history, diversity and resilience. As the clock struck on midnight on August 15, 1947, the world witnessed the birth of a nation with a dream, a nation with a vision of progress and prosperity. This is the story of India's journey and its coming future, a tale of its triumphs, challenges and its unwavering spirits of people. Join us as we embark on the Odysseys, exploring the present, past and envisioning the future.
Amidst the joyous celebrations of independence, India stood at crossroads, facing the monumental task of nation building. The echoes of Mahatma Gandhi's call for non-violence and unity resonated through the streets, as leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru envisioned a modern and progressive India. Jawaharlal Nehru once said,
"Today we take our first step as a free nation united in its diversity. Let us strive for peace, equality and prosperity for all."
With each passing decade, India evolves, overcoming challenges and celebrating triumphs. From the Green Revolution to technological advancements, the nation marched forward, guided by the principle of democracy, diversity, and unity in diversity.
As the years rolled by, India emerged as a global force, showcasing its prowess in various fields, from space exploration to information technology. We are at a very critical juncture as a nation, with the collective dream of achieving Viksit Bharat by 2047. The question still remains: how will we achieve it, and what will India look like in 2047? Will we emerge as a global superpower? Can we attain a 30 trillion economy? Will unemployment numbers decrease? And can we effectively address the climate crisis?
Countless questions that arise when we try to envision India's future.
In 1991, India faced an economic crisis that demanded bold reforms. India embraced liberalization, opening its door to the world and unleashing its entrepreneurial spirit.
be it Pepsi and Coca-Cola in the consumer goods sector, Vodafone and Nokia in the telecom sector, Hyundai and Maruti Suzuki in the automobile sector, or IBM and Accenture in the IT sector. This growth was not limited to foreign companies, but various Indian companies also thrived, be it Reliance, Infosys, HDFC Bank, Dabur, TCS, Wipro, and the list goes on and on.
And as the year passed, India moved to digital transformation. From 2010, the phone penetration increased from 30 to 40% to 75%, and internet penetration increased from 7.5% to 52%. Demonetization and COVID were major propellers of this change.
Now, as we stand on the threshold of 2024, poised to script the next chapter of our journey, the question becomes: what lies ahead for India in next 20 years? What dreams will we chase, and what challenges will we face?
With a vision fueled by innovation, sustainability, and inclusive growth, India envisions a future where every citizen thrives, where opportunities abound, and where diversity is celebrated as a source of strength. From the IT boom in Bangalore to the emergence of startups in Mumbai, India embraced innovation and emerged as a global powerhouse in technology and entrepreneurship.
From social inequalities to environmental degradation, the journey was fraught with obstacles. But time and again, the resilience of the Indian spirit prevailed. As we look ahead to the year 2044, the possibilities are endless. With an increasing youth population, advancements in technology, and a renewed commitment to sustainability, India stands on the cusp of a new era. Now, as we stand on the threshold of 2024, poised to script the next chapter of our journey, the question becomes: what lies ahead for India in the next 20 years? What dreams will we chase and what challenges will we conquer? These are just a few of the countless questions that arise as we try to envision India's future.
Hi, my name is Srishti Sharma. I'm a serial entrepreneur and the founder of Shakti Wearables. Shakti Wearables is India's first women safety smart wearable technology company. Being a serial entrepreneur in the last 9 years, I've built startups in gaming, healthcare, food tech and social sectors. Some of the projects in the social sectors that I founded are Project Rahmat and Kilkari. Besides that, I'm a 5-time TEDx speaker and really humbled to be recently recognized as Asia's most innovative women entrepreneur.
My name is Meghna and basically I run a social enterprise based out of Delhi by the name of Swan Livelihood, where Swan stands for Skilled Workforce Advancing Nation, and we conduct a lot of training programs which are focused on creating employment opportunities and also sustainable livelihood opportunities.
I'm Professor Nitin Puri. I'm a professor of physics working in Delhi Technological University, which was formerly Delhi College of Engineering. So I'm here from last 15 years and teaching the nanotechnology and the applied physics.
A new generation of risk takers is reshaping industries and rewriting the rules of the game. From tech startups to social enterprises in rural areas, India's entrepreneurial landscape is as diverse as it is dynamic, driving inclusive growth and prosperity. In recent years, there has been a surge in entrepreneurship in India. It plays a key role in economic development. India has become a global powerhouse with more than 1,12,718 startups recognized by DPIIT, ranking India as the third largest startup ecosystem after the US and China. The journey of entrepreneurs is not without obstacles, balancing risk and reward, navigating uncertainty and facing competition head-on. Their journey is part of a larger story, a movement that's shifting the course of business and inspiring future generations.
I think it has got a massive change. The ecosystem is developing at a rapid pace, wherein we see a lot of incubators and accelerators coming in to get the entrepreneurial idea amongst the students to get started with. So basically, the incubators and the accelerator programs which are being put forth by a lot of universities these days are acting as a major factor to develop the entrepreneurial idea, particularly amongst the students. So, right from the classes of 9 to 12th, the students are being trained to get started with, their idea, their businesses. They are being provided with seed money, and this is also later culminating into their undergraduate programs, which focuses only on, developing their idea. So also we see very active bodies like Enactus and HULT in Delhi University and amongst all the universities in which the students are actually getting the space to share their ideas.
To understand the entire aspect into two very clear scenarios. First is that entrepreneurship and startups have really gotten serious with the Indian audience in the last 4-5 years. I think 15-20 साल पहले कोई startup या entrepreneurship को seriously ही नहीं लेता था. बहुत business families होती थी जिन्हें लगता था कि सिर्फ एक idea से कोई कैसे ही company बना सकता है. So again, kudos to India as a country where now we are accepting more startups. India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. So I would say definitely startups are growing, and I strongly feel that the next 10 years belong to Indian startups. अलग-अलग phases आते हैं. अब से 15 साल पहले बोलते थे कि अगर आपने इंजीनियरिंग की है, so you can actually get the best opportunities, and that's what exactly happened. तो एक इंजीनियरिंग वेव हमारे साथ आया था. आने वाले 10 साल इंडियन एंटरप्रेन्योर और इंडियन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के लिए है, दैट इज फॉर श्योर. बट गोइंग फर्दर एंड अगेन गेटिंग ऑन टू द सेकंड एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन, दैट मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टार्टअप्स फेल इन. सो आई थिंक स्टार्टअप्स फेलिंग has more to do with understanding as to what this entire jungle has to offer. I almost say this, being a serial entrepreneur, जब हम young होते हैं या हम देखते हैं कि शार्क टैंक इंडिया में इतनी फंडिंग आ गई, हम entrepreneurship जब भी imagine करते हैं ना, प्राइवेट जेट, a lot of money, मैं फोर्ब्स रिच लिस्ट में आ गए, हमने इतनी टेड टॉक दे दी, इंटरव्यूज हो रहे हैं जैसे ये हो रहा है. So when I started, I also entered into thinking that entrepreneurship is all about glamorization. But then when you get a reality check, you need to understand that that is not what entrepreneurship is. It's a very uncertain territory. It's an unknown territory. You're entering into a jungle without really knowing as to what the next day will look like. So the reason for a lot of startups not scaling up or failing, I feel, is because we are not clear on the fundamental aspect of it. And one of them is not understanding as to what uncertainty are we signing up for. Second, of course, lies in seeing the other technical aspects of startups as well. The competition, what your customers have to offer, how do you make a profitable business out of it, how do you keep it sustaining, what if you don't get funding. So the startups not scaling up, I would say, is a combination of two things. One, getting into it for wrong reasons, that is getting attracted by glamorization, and second, not really knowing the technical know-hows.
Education in India has seen significant improvements and developments over the years. In 2011 census, about 73% of the population was literate, with 81% for males and 65% for females. The 2020 NEP aims for India's future education system, founded on 5 guiding pillars of access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. NEP aims to increase the focus on strengthening teacher training, reforming the existing exam system, and restructuring the regulatory frame of education. By encouraging critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity, NEP can produce a workforce that is innovative and capable of tackling complex challenges. NEP's focus on integrating technology into education can create a workforce proficient in digital skills, which are increasingly important across all industries.
आजादी के बाद हमसे एक बड़ी मिस्टेक तो क्या हुई कि हम इस देश को अपनी किसी भाषाओं में से कोई एक भाषा नहीं दे पाए. हम उसी अंग्रेजी के पीछे चलते थे, शासन की भाषा वही बनी रही. तो अब वो किसी भी शिक्षा नीति का जो मूल होता है वो उस राष्ट्र की जो ताकत है, उस राष्ट्र का जो इथोस है, उसकी जो आत्मा है, उसको प्रसारित और प्रचारित करने वाली होनी चाहिए. हमारी जो शिक्षा नीति आई आजादी के बाद, उसमें भारतीयता के तत्व को, जो हमारा भारत बोध है कि ये भारत अपना, ये राष्ट्र मेरा है, मैं इस राष्ट्र का हूँ, इस बोध की कमी थी. भारत का पढ़ा लिखा नौजवान जितना पढ़ता जाता है, भारत से उतना दूर होता जाता है. भारत तो गाँव में बसता है, भारत तो इस देश की मिट्टी में बसता है, लेकिन जैसे जैसे हम पढ़ते गए, हमें अपने देवी देवताओं में मजाक दिखने लगता, हमें अपने कल्चरल बातों में मजाक दिखने लगता, क्योंकि जो पढ़ाई थी वो पढ़ाई हमें हमारे से खुद से काटती थी, हमारे अपनी जड़ों से ही हमें काट रही थी. अब जो ये एजुकेशन पॉलिसी आई है, ये एजुकेशन पॉलिसी हमारे स्व के, जो हमारे भीतर की ताकत है, उसको पहचानने का उपक्रम.
I think these days, so it's very important, particularly after COVID, we have seen that the industry requirements have changed altogether. And until and unless the education programs integrate the component of industry readiness to prepare the youth in terms of the rapidly changing demands of the industry, then only we'll be able to bridge that divide. And hence we get to see that a lot of universities are now rolling out educational programs which has the component of on-the-job training ingrained in the curriculum.
With due respect to what our Indian education system teaches, we don't have a curriculum that encourages entrepreneurs. We don't have a curriculum that supports entrepreneurship. And forget supporting or encouraging, we don't even have a system that really talks about a lot of entrepreneurs. So I strongly feel that the Indian education system today, the times are changing now. Even educators are more focused on leveraging the creative side of students, but through a lot of extracurricular activities. तो मेरा ये मानना है कि Indian education system आपको train करता है to look at a very stable system, कि आप एक स्पेसिफिक मार्क्स लाके एक स्पेसिफिक यूनिवर्सिटी में जा सकते हैं, वहाँ पे अगर आप टॉप करेंगे तो आप अच्छी कंपनीज में जा सकते हैं. तो वो एक जॉब सीकिंग साइड का नेचर है जो हम अपने स्टूडेंट्स में बिल्ड करें, जबकि जॉब क्रिएशन के लिए you have to kind of have a lot of other things, be it communication, problem solving, टीम बिल्डिंग, कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, जहाँ पे आज भी मुझे लगता है कि पहले से एजुकेशन सिस्टम में चेंज है, बट अभी भी देयर इज अ लॉन्ग वे टू गो. नाउ आई थिंक द दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट हैज टेकन अ ग्रेट इनिशिएटिव वेयर दे स्टार्टेड टीचिंग एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इन अ लॉट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स, नॉट रेगुलरली बट उनके वीकली या मंथली प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं. So I really urge that if this reaches to anybody in the Indian education system, please let's try to create some modules that really talks about the other aspects of business building as well, because most of the entrepreneurs that you see, they are either dropouts, and if we talk about the best of people being from IIT IIMs, तो ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा misconception है कि सिर्फ उन्हीं लोगों को funding मिलती है. Out of the 100 best CEOs and entrepreneurs that we have in the world, only 11% of them are graduated from IITs, IIMs, and from the top universities. So having said that, I think each to his own, but the education system has to kind of have something to at least talk about entrepreneurship, क्योंकि इंडिया में टैलेंट बहुत है, बहुत बच्चे जिनके पास बहुत आइडिया है, बट क्योंकि उन्हें स्कूल्स और कॉलेजेस में सही गाइडेंस नहीं मिलती या कोई बात करने वाला नहीं होता है, इसलिए वो कभी आइडियाज को स्केल ही नहीं कर पाते.
Equality, empowered by progressive policies and a shift in societal norms, India is marching towards a future where every individual, regardless of gender, caste, or creed, has equal opportunities to succeed. Women are breaking barriers in boardrooms, farmers are reclaiming their livelihoods, and marginalized communities are finding their voice in the corridors of power. Employment rates in India are 27% for women and 79.1% for men. Women only account for 18% of India's labor income. Despite our differences, the quest for equality unites us all.
You know, entrepreneurship is inevitable if we have to talk about the country's growth. You know, Mr. Modi and our Prime Minister says that we want India to be a $500 trillion economy. How do we reach that? Business, entrepreneurship, MSME is the only way that will actually help us to reach to that target. But having said that, today it's again a very gender specific dominated. Whenever we talk about entrepreneurs, अभी आपने जो question में पूछा वो women entrepreneur पूछा, men entrepreneur नहीं पूछा. आपने जो पूछा वो female founders पूछा, founders नहीं पूछा. So I think number one, we need to understand that business and entrepreneurship will play one of the most important role to get to the $500 trillion economy that we want to create. That's number one. And second, how can we think of reaching to that number if we don't have 50% of India's population participating in it? So having said that, pehle the fight was that women were not allowed to work, or you know, we didn't used to see a lot of female in offices, which has drastically changed. So now a lot of women are working, you know, even if they're married, they still, you know, manage everything by their side. But if I talk about entrepreneurship specifically, then less than 11% of solo female founders are there in India even today. Talking about the VC funding, less than 2% of VC funding is received by solo female founders. आज भी मेजोरिटी जो फीमेल फाउंडर्स देखते हैं वो या तो अपने हस्बैंड्स के साथ पार्टनरशिप्स में होती है या यूजुअली अपने फादर्स का बिजनेस इनहेरिट करती है, which is again a great thing. No offense to that, I'm very happy that that participation is also happening. But how many solo female founders do we have? Personally, I've had this experience when you usually go out as a solo female founder, a lot of investors want you to have a male founder. As simple as at the age of 19 getting rejected, saying that because you are a women entrepreneur, if I put money in your business, I don't know what will happen to my money once you get married and have kids, which I am not sure if the same gentleman would have asked to a male founder. So what we need to understand is that number one, we need women. You know, we need women in startup, we need women in entrepreneurship. Second, the scenario is changing. We shouldn't be blaming the government because today there are a lot of schemes that allow and provide a lot of subsidy to a lot of women founders and entrepreneurs. एक ही ग्रांट अगर 8 लाख का एक मेल एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए है तो 50% सब्सिडी बढ़ा के विमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को दिया जा रहा है. So that is a good thing where it will initiate and appreciate and should motivate a lot of women entrepreneurs. And third, let's not now answer these questions. Let's try to understand that gender again has nothing to do with anybody's capability, and let's try to create a world where people are being recognized for their merit and not for the gender. So, yeah.
One of the major focus of the Viksit Bharat 2047 campaign is on creating Lakpati Didis, focuses on creating Lakpati Didis, wherein, you know, how can we make India more self-reliant by empowering the rural community so that they not just migrate to the urban spaces in search of jobs but become employment providers themselves. So that can only happen when we actually empower at the grassroots. And women, particularly the rural women, hold a lot of determination, and if they are given support, they can do wonders. That we also see through our training programs that we
Sustainability. Recognizing the urgency of climate action and the importance of ecological stewardship, India is embracing conservation efforts and sustainable practices across sectors, charting a course towards a greener and a cleaner future. According to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Index and Dashboard Report 2023, India ranks 112 out of 166 countries on the SDG index, with an overall index score of 63.5% and spillover score of 99.4%. Innovation, adaptation, and collaboration are keys to a sustainable tomorrow.
Nanotechnology is not being only used for the healthcare one, but it is having a solution for environmental applications too. Now, point is that how those materials which we are working on can be able to help in the environmental solution. So, point is, could we be able to detect the few of the hazardous gases are there in the environment, like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. So, and because we know that pollution level in our country, not country specifically, if we talk of the Delhi, we are dealing with this type of pollution. So if we could be able to detect that what are the main constituents of those of which are the pollutants, so and what is the qualitatively and quantitatively we could be able to analyze them. So we can do it with the help of nanotechnology.
Technology, the catalyst of India's transformation, is propelling the nation into the digital age with unprecedented velocity. From AI and blockchain to biotech and renewable energy, India is harnessing the power of innovation to solve pressing challenges and unlock new frontiers of progress. With initiatives like Digital India and Make in India paving the way, India is not just embracing technology but also shaping its destiny in the fourth industrial revolution. Today, technology has connected to the world like never before. High-speed internet and rollout of 5G networks is revolutionizing mobile connectivity. AI is driving breakthroughs in digital payments, fraud detection and risk management, and it is playing a major role in India's financial sector. The fast-growing EV market in India is catching the eye of global players. India's electric vehicle market is expected to grow to 1 crore units in annual sales by 2030 and create 5 crore direct and indirect jobs.
So I think that's a very interesting question. What I feel is that whenever we leverage technology even to solve simple problems, it makes our work easy. So technology for Indian entrepreneurship is inevitable. It's not going anywhere. अगर आप बेसिक से बेसिक चीजें देखते हैं, आज एक किराना स्टोर पे भी हम QR कोड्स देखते हैं, हम देखते हैं कि उनकी वेबसाइट्स है. So technology leveraging for solving problems by Indian startups is unbeatable. But specifically talking about a lot of sectors, then I think EV sector has a lot of potential going further. Anything in deep tech will really solve a lot of Indian startup problems. So EV is something that we can look at. And besides that, the second aspect that really interests me is AI. I think artificial intelligence is as dangerous as it sounds. I think it can be a great problem solver for a lot of Indian problems going further. And EV, of course, because I think the next decade of Indian businesses and entrepreneurship really lies in going towards being sustainable and not really harming. Third, I would say is anti-aging, or doing anything to enhance the health and well-being of people would be the third startup जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा scope है, because there's not a lot of competition. So yeah, these are the three major fields that I feel that would be doing great going further.
So 1947 and then to 2047, 100 years, where exactly we are there and where we have reached. So as I said it, that it is not a one-day thought process. It is a process of continuous and subsequent working in that direction, and sustainability there should be there. So as you are saying that how the nanotechnology is going to help us in all these sectors, so surely it is going to help in all the sectors. And then government has taken different initiative in that direction, because in semiconductor industry, government has taken an initiative. So people have taken a lot of semiconductors research in the solution not only for scientific solution, but all the societal solution also in that direction.
Isn't it amazing, Isha, to see how the country has embraced its renewable energy with sprawling solar farms? The infrastructure development is just impressive too. Initiatives like the Smart City initiatives and the basic initiatives are just bridging the rural-urban gaps wonderfully.
Yes, it's truly incredible how India has made healthcare so much accessible in terms of affordability and telemedicine. The digital revolution in education has literally empowered the learners.
Where do I see India in when it will be completing 100 years, which is not very far of a journey. So I hope to be number one alive by that time. And I hope to kind of be in a country where right now, just to summarize it, we are still called a developing nation. But with the great leadership that we have in almost all the sectors, I hope we'll be a developed country by that. The global positioning of India has really increased. The way in which the foreign dignitaries are looking at us versus how they used to look at us 20 years back is completely different. So I think the next decade belongs to India. And not just in entrepreneurship, it definitely belongs to Indian entrepreneurs, that's for sure. But I'm very sure that the kind of growth that we're going to see in the next 10-20 years is going to be insane.
I must say that as I already said that we have a mission 2047 where we Viksit Bharat, we are talking of Viksit Bharat at 2047. So 1947 and then to 2047 in 100 years where exactly we are from there and where we have reached. So as I said it that it is not a one day thought process. It is a process of continuous and subsequent working in that direction, and sustainability there should be there. The aim of this Viksit Bharat 2047 is that we could be able to have self-reliant in a way that we could be able to do all the things at our country and with all the expertise by our people.
Maybe at par with other developed countries, wherein the divide between the rich and the poor is not too high.
विकसित भारत की बात करेंगे तो भारत में कोई भूखा नहीं रहेगा। जो हमारी एक इकोनॉमिक पैमाना है, वो इकोनॉमिक पैमाना जो दुनिया के हिसाब से ऊपर का है, जो दुनिया के हिसाब से इस लेवल का है कि इसके इतने के ऊपर जिसकी आमदनी पर पर्सन कैपिटा कितनी होगी, इस स्तर पे आज हमारा स्थान बहुत नीचे है। लेकिन आने वाले समय में भारत वर्ल्ड की थर्ड इकोनॉमी बहुत जल्दी बन जाएगा। अब उसमें हमारे सामने चुनौती क्या है? चुनौती ये है, वो शुरुआत में आती है कि कुछ लोगों के पास बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा जमा हो रहा है और बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको हम खाना भी 2 टाइम का वो अपनी ताकत के दम पे, अपने रोजगार के दम पे, अपने कार्य करने के दम पे नहीं कमा पाते। ये गैप है, इस गैप को कब करना? ये गैप जैसे ही कम होगा, भारत के लोग उस शिक्षा पद्धति से, उस ज्ञान परंपरा से पढ़े लिखे होंगे, प्रभावित होंगे, उस ज्ञान परंपरा के लाभान्वित होंगे जो भारत को पूरे विश्व में एक कल्याणकारी राष्ट्र के रूप में स्थापित है।
These studies reflect a nation where dreams materialize into a reality.
Together, let us write the next chapter of India's journey. A journey towards becoming a developed nation, with remembering the lessons from our past, drawing inspiration from the sacrifices of our forefathers and resilience of our people. For in the tapestry of India's story, each thread holds the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Join us on this voyage of discovery as we chart the course of India's destiny, guided by the vision of a brighter and a more inclusive tomorrow. This is India, a journey of hope and promise.